Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. Thank you for being here. I need to clarify that this is a session about the legal perspective of Kashmir. I do not have any background in legal issues or law. So I was put in this session, and then Bilal told me that I could speak about any subject that I wanted to speak about. I've been working on Kashmir for the last decade. Last year I completed my book on Kashmir, which is due to be published in 2020, hopefully. I have been extensively working with the people of Kashmir, both inside the Kashmir Valley, even though I have not traveled there, and also outside especially. I had prepared my speech already, and then I happened to talk to one of my Kashmiri friends from Srinagar on the phone, and I told him that I was coming here today to present a presentation on Kashmir. And he was very happy, but at the same time he also felt very sad because he is a Kashmiri, he works on human rights issues, but he cannot speak out. So I promised to deliver the following message on his behalf. He said that presently India has been isolating Kashmir. It has put the suffering of the people of Kashmir behind an iron curtain. NGOs and journalists are not allowed into Kashmir, and approximately 400 to 450 Kashmiris who usually travel outside the country abroad have been put on a no-fly list. The question he is asking, how is the international community going to address the situation that has now been created in Kashmir? It is believed that some 140,000 additional security forces were deployed in the Kashmir Valley when the government of India decided to abrogate Article 370 of the Indian Constitution. Anyone in Kashmir who attempts to stage a protest in Kashmir will be arrested, and even prominent Kashmiri women who went out into the street were arrested and put in jail. The Indian government simply doesn't want any protests to take place, and it claims that nobody in Kashmir is complaining about the abrogation of Article 370, but that is not true. He's asking then again the question to me because I'm from the West, and he's asking me why is the world at large only talking about Hong Kong in the international news, but why is nobody talking about Kashmir anymore? When Article 370 was abrogated in August earlier this year, it reached international headlines for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then it basically died out. When you compare it to Hong Kong, where protests are taking place every day, it gets international headline lists every day. But in Kashmir, the same thing is happening, but nobody is talking about it. He said the problem with Kashmir is that the international community does not want to help Kashmir, as they see it as a way of supporting Pakistan. And he thinks it is very tragic that Kashmir is being viewed as an extension of Pakistan. He continued saying, whether Pakistan or not supports Kashmir, there is a huge prejudice in the West against Pakistan, and therefore he believes that Kashmir has continued to suffer. And then in the West, he said, overall, everybody speaks about Islamophobia. It seems that people are afraid of Islam, Muslim people don't like the headscarf. I mean, we can start a debate about this as well. But in fact, because of this, the entire world has been supported the violence in Kashmir against the people of Kashmir. The West has continued to close its eyes. Muslim countries, he also said, are actually doing the same. And therefore, he says he's so grateful to Turkey today for hosting this international conference. In this regard, he thinks that on the international political stage, countries are not willing or they don't dare to do much because nobody wants to speak against India. But he believes that the civil society in Turkey and elsewhere in the world, they can take a lead in this campaign. And they can initiate a dialogue that leads to peace in Kashmir, or at least that starts to talk about what is happening inside the Kashmir Valley. He believes that if the Turkish government is supportive of this case and the cause of Kashmir, then perhaps they want to be actively engaged to support the civil society's movements and mobilize groups to advocate for peace in Kashmir. What the Kashmiri want, yes, they want azadi, they want independence, they want freedom, but most of all, they just want to have peace, and this is just not happening right now. He also said they can include the Kashmiri diaspora as well. There's thousands and thousands of Kashmiris living all over the world, and they come from the Kashmir Valley. Myself, I've also engaged with one of them that I'm in active contact with. He's from Srinagar as well. He's living in Canada. And He complains a lot that the Kashmiris actually have not been given a voice over the past 70 years. Everybody speaks about Kashmir as a conflict, a territorial dispute between India and Pakistan, but the people who are actually suffering are the Kashmiris themselves. He believes that Pakistan doesn't give them an honest voice, neither does India, and neither does the international community. And while I was doing my research on Kashmir for more than a decade, I actively discussed the issue about the Kashmiri voice with him. And he believes that the inclusion of the Kashmiri today is essential to move forward in the peace process. While I was talking to him a couple of years ago, he already told me that Kashmir may not be resolved as long as we are alive. But we need the people of Kashmir, and especially those in the valley, we need to give them a breathing space, meaning that the Kashmiris can also sit around the negotiating table and talk by expressing their aspirations and have a fair discussion with the governments of India and of Pakistan, both of them. Neither India or Pakistan has ever formally included the Kashmiri into a peace dialogue. This means the people of the Kashmir Valley, Ladakh, Jammu, and also on the Pakistani side from Azad Kashmir and Gilgit and Baltistan. Farooq, that is his name, he is the pioneer of what he calls the Niagara Declaration, where he believes that all the stakeholders of the conflict are coming together in a conference like this, where they can express their viewpoints and opinions. That means that all the different religions get together, people, the Kashmiris from both sides of the line of control, and from all different kinds of backgrounds. It's not only the politicians, but civil society, lawyers, even just businessmen. And he believes that this will be the first step towards normalization in Kashmir. Is Kashmir normal? No, there is no normalization in Kashmir. We all now talk about what happened after the 5th of August and the abrogation of Article 370, but the situation has gone from bad to worse already since June 2016. Let's go back to 14th of June 2018, when one of my good friends, Sujat Bukhari, he was the editor-in-chief of the Rising Kashmir, an English newspaper in Srinagar. And he left the office at around 8 p.m. to go home and to have the breaking of the fast during the Ramadan with his wife and 2 children. The moment he left his office with his 2 bodyguards, gunmen arrived and they shot him, killing him and his 2 bodyguards. I just happened to find his little booklet in my bag before coming here, and he calls it The Dirty War on Kashmir. Well, that is published after he passed away, and this is an accumulation of different articles he published, I think, from 2017 until he was shot in 2018. But this is what is happening in Kashmir. Lots of people are living under the shadow of the gun, and he's just one of the Kashmiris who got assassinated. Why? We don't know why. India blames Pakistan, Pakistan blames India, nobody has the answer, and this is how it's continued. Everything that's happening, Pakistan says, oh, India is violating human rights in the valley, and then India says, yes, but Pakistan is sending militants into the valley, and this is how this is a vicious circle that is just never ending. So why is it so important to have a dialogue? Going to this dialogue, let's speak, for instance, about the first ever United Nations human rights report that was published in 2018. This is the first step to actually acknowledge that there are problems in the Kashmir Valley and that we need to change things. But as long as the international community is not going to do anything, the situation is not going to improve at all. Sujat Bukhari, my friend, he's just one example of those who got killed. Some 8,000 people are still missing in the Kashmir Valley since the conflict erupted in 1990. An estimated 6,000 unmarked graves have been discovered in the Kashmir Valley. India again says that these buried bodies are those of Pakistani-sponsored militants that crossed into the Kashmir Valley, so they have no reason to do anything with it. And then again, the people of Kashmir, they just demand an answer, and he said, we want to do a DNA testing of the bodies, and then India again says this is going to be too costly, and we just don't have the money for it. Going again to the international community, the European Parliament, if not mistaken, in 2008, they passed a resolution on the unmarked graves, but after more than a decade, it has gone silent again. So where's the justice here of the people of Kashmir if nobody is going to give them a voice? Let's just go briefly to the situation in the Kashmir Valley today, and I just took bits and pieces from different newspaper articles. Tourism, for instance, is the main source of income for the people in Kashmir. Tourism has gone down. It's harvest season in Kashmir now as well. People are growing apples. The price of the apple has reduced by 50%. So you can imagine you have 50% less income. People have not been able to reach the hospitals in time because of the curfew and the roadblocks. Doctors and patients do not get access to medication just because it's been running out of stock. People are suffering from mental health issues. Kashmiris in general are suffering from mental health issues, but if there is more pressure, it's just going to get worse. Schools have been closed since August the 5th, and the New York Times reported on the 31st of October 2019 that an estimated 1.5 million Kashmiri children is still out of school. So finally, let's just go to the human rights abuses and the pellet guns that are being used. Are human rights important? Yes, they are, but apparently not when you're a Kashmiri, because the Indians are continuing to use pellet guns against innocent stone-pelting Kashmiris that are going to the street to vent their frustrations. The pellet gun is a gun that doesn't kill you, but often the eyes are targeted, and this blinds the people of Kashmir. Are we going to keep silent about that? I have a whole long list of human rights abuses that are taking place, and we can continue this. I can continue to talk about it, but I think it is much better to have a debate about it, what we're going to do to resolve this conflict in the end. Are we going to be silent about it? Are we going to support it? Are we going to support India? Are we going to support Pakistan? Or what are we going to do about it? The thing is, we cannot sit quiet about this issue and just stop talking about it. So I'm very grateful to be here today, just to have a chance to express what is happening in Kashmir. And I really hope that we can have this type of conferences much more often. Thank you.